And boy, do they love that guy. Albert Pujols, third baseman. Breaking ball to Mike Matheny. He can still throw curveballs. He's in great shape.
And he comes back to back to back with curveballs. That's what's always made Jesse nasty.
And a drive by
Eddie Priest facing Gilkey. That may be web gem #1. And the first time we can say here on Boca Chica.
You can say it.
Dodgers win this game by a final score of 3-2. Sheffield with a triple. McGuire had, again, the 2 good defensive plays. He also had pitching is always what you watch. And Walt Jocketty also said that Matt Morris was terrific today. 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 3 Ks. And he's going to be a key to the success of the Cardinals. Here's McGuire's numbers so far this spring. And Harold, you played ball. You put much stock in numbers during the spring?
Not really during spring training. The main thing you want to do is get yourself in shape, get your hands in condition. The last 2 weeks is when you play against most of the starters. They'll be going into 5th, 5th, 6th innings, and that's where you want to get your bat speed and get some good swing.
All right, Peter, let's talk about Gary Sheffield. This story has seesawed back and forth. I want to be traded. I don't want to be traded. I don't want to be signed. I want to be signed. What's the latest?
Well, when he called me yesterday in about the 2nd or 3rd inning of the game here in Orlando, and he said, look, you know, I've decided my teammates really want me to stay here. He said, I'm just going to put it aside. Maybe eventually I can become a lifetime Dodger. He wants to now. There was a lot of talk about trades. Some of them were a little bit manufacturers. They were not going to trade him to the Braves for Jordan and Rocker. The Braves never made that possible. Some of the Mets offers were never quite what they were. However, one Dodger official did tell the Mets yesterday that they were very close, they thought, to a deal for a starting shortstop. They thought it was Pokey Reese for the Reds, but John Allen was not going to let the Reds take on that kind of money anyway, so he's going to stay with the Dodgers, and they really need him. That lineup is really not very good without him.
I think the biggest thing, too, Peter, with Gary is the fact that he never asked to be traded, really. He never demanded a rip up my contract. He always wanted to be a lifetime Dodger. A lot of people wondered, well, how are his teammates going to accept this? I think the one thing about Chef is he's always been up front. He's one of those guys that's not afraid to call a team meeting. And I think in a couple of days when they get off the road and gets a chance to get together with everybody, he'll explain more with his teammates than the media or anybody else. I think that's more what he's concerned of. And he's going to be happy. You see he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better, having a clear mind. I think that's important.
And if he's unhappy, obviously the one guy he'll call to tell.
It's Peter Gammons.
It's Peter Gammons. He calls you all the time. Move along now to another disgruntled outfielder, the Cubs' Sammy Sosa. Don't know where he's going to end up. Top of the 3rd, they're taking on the Diamondbacks. Julian Tavares is going to be a 5th starter for this team. Mark Grace. Sammy misjudged on the D-backs plate 2 in the 3rd after Sosa's error. Bottom 4, Cubs are down 4-zip. Here's Sosa now against Brian Anderson, and this one's got all the making. Sosa, yard. 2-run shot to left.
He is swinging the bat as good as he's swung the bat because he's making great adjustments pitch by pitch. And Sammy's always had great springs, but they're saying this is the best he's looked in a long time.
Being in a free agent year, players tend to look a little better. Here's Colburn the other way, and Sosa, at the wall, makes it. Lost the glasses, lost the ball, cut his elbow, hurt his pinky. The Diamondbacks won that game 13-3. The other split squad game, Arubio Durazo's been playing outstanding for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He went 3 for 4 in the game. I guess you could always ask, Peter, when you look at Sammy Sosa, what his dynamics are with the Cubs right now with regards to relations to McPhail and everybody else. You see he's hitting 300.
Well, I think there's still a possibility he's going to sign. The way Sammy looks at it, talking to him, he just says, look, what could be wrong? I'm 32 years old. I either become a free agent, hit the jackpot, I get traded to a team of my choice because he's a 10-5 guy. So therefore, he gets a new deal, or he gets to do what he really wants, which is stay with the Cubs.
And the Cubs certainly need him, and I know Don Baylor loves the productivity out of the corners and out of the outfield. He gets it from Sosa. We move along to the Giants and the A's. Top 2, Oakland down 1-zip. Gil Heredia did not have a good outing. 3 innings, 8 hits. Eric Chavez, that's ruled a base hit, not an error, and it should have been. It took a
Don't you love those spring training infields, Harold?
That's lovely.
HR, 2 men on here. Pedro Felix, he's going to ground to 3rd. Here's Chavez.
Ground ball to 3rd.
Well,
Don't know what to do.
Well, a lot of times in spring training, it's all about timing. And right here, he just had no time and got caught with his feet still, not able to get the movement. You're going to see a lot of errors in the spring. That happens.
We like Miguel Tejada. 2-run shot. He went 2 for 3 on the day. A's are down 5-2. Kirk Reeder gave it up 3 2/3, 4 hits and 2 earned. Here's Bonds. Eric Davis is on first. He's going to come home. Bonds went 1 for 3 as it goes all the way to the wall. And the A's came back late and won this game by a final score of 12-6. So Barry's looking good. Kent had an RBI double off Heredia. Terrence Long, 3-run home run. Long had a good game. He had 3 hits in this one. Jason Giambi goes 0 for 3. Guy they're very excited about at second base for the A's. Jose Ortiz did not get any hits, but he certainly is going to be a big part of the A's future. And we're now joined by the reigning American League MVP, Jason Giambi. And 0 for today, JG. What's up with that? And actually, let's get to the real issues here. What's up with the contract, considering we assume that you're pretty much in favor of getting this done? Are you guys going to get a deal done?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we're definitely getting close. So hopefully something will come through by the end of spring. But, you know, with when you're talking about monopoly money like that, it takes a little while to get it done.
This is real stuff, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason, we've heard a lot about a couple of guys with the A's this spring. One is Ortiz, and his hands as a hitter, and the other is that Mark Mulder is throwing better than he has at any times in the major leagues. Talk about those two guys.
Oh, they're going to be big keys to this team. Ortiz playing at second base, taking over for the veteran Randy Velarde. That's going to be a big pickup for us because I think he's going to hit that number 2 hole. And Ron Washington's got him out there every single day working on his hands, flipping the double plays and things like that. Then, of course, Mark Mulder, he's the key to our pitching staff because Tim Hudson's going to move into that number 1 role. So we need to get 3, 4, and 5 down. So he's going to be that big turnover guy, and he's pitching great this spring.
You know, Jason, Carl talked about being the reigning MVP, but along with that comes a lot of the banquet circuit. How have you were able to work in the winter and get yourself ready for spring training and mix in all the banquets?
Oh, that was tough, definitely. I traveled all over the place this offseason, but the most important thing, I made sure I took my shoes with me and got my workouts in because I didn't think everybody would be real happy if I hit 200 this year. so I definitely, you know, worked hard. This is probably the hardest I've worked any offseason because it was so tough to juggle it in between. But I'm excited to be out here, definitely.
All right, Jason, one of the things, too, that occurred in the offseason, obviously you pick up Johnny Damon. 137 runs batted in for you last year. It looks as if with Damon getting on a little bit more often, you may have some more opportunities. I assume that excites you as an offensive player in the A's, right?
Oh, definitely. I hope I can drive in 170 this year with him out there. Actually, the first thing when we got Johnny Damon, I called up Art Howe and said, now we got to put in a steal sign. We haven't had one for years around here. So that's a new aspect for us. We can actually score a run without hitting a 3-run Jimmy Jack, you know. So he's great. He's a great acquisition. He's fitting in very well around here. You know, we all know him. We're all a young team. So he definitely adds another dimension to this ball club.
Good.
Do you find, Jason, that the young players, the Chavez, the Damons, and the Terrence Longs, follow you around a little bit more this spring after the year that you had last year?
Definitely. You know, I'm in that position now where I get a chance to be like Mark a little bit, where they ask me questions, helping them try to improve their game, which I love because, you know, I was the luckiest guy on the planet. I got Mark McGwire to take me under his wing and teach me a lot about this game. So I feel lucky I get to pass it on to these kids. And I think these kids like to follow me around now because everybody wants my autograph so they can walk on by.
Well, Jason, good luck this year. We appreciate you being with us. Expectations going to be a little different this season in Oakland, but we assume with your leadership and a new deal, if you get it done, will help take this A's team back to where you were last year. Thanks again.
Thank you again. I appreciate it, guys.
Okay, when we get back here on Baseball Tonight, Mike Lieberthal, the catcher of the Phillies, crashed into a few cameras. He's going to crash right into the ESPN club and join us as well. Strike zone hasn't meant all work for these guys.
Oh, yeah. Kinda. We're hoping it would rain.
Not raining on Mark Hirschbeck's parade. We'll talk about the high strike zone, and we'll also talk about the man who can end any running game, Pudge Rodriguez of the Texas Rangers. All that's ahead as you take a look at the Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith at the MGM Studios. A ride through the world of rock and roll. We will return.
It is more than a trial by fire. It is a rite of passage. And if you can master your fear, outsmart your enemy, and never yield even to yourself, you will be changed forever. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Critics are calling Enemy at the Gates an intense thriller.
They send their top marksmen to come up in Berlin to stop you.
The first great film of the new year.
How are you going to find this young man?
I'll fix it so that he finds me.
Gritty, gutsy, and gripping. 4 stars. It's like Saving Private Ryan meets High Noon.
If you kill him, you can win the war for us.
And Ebert and Roper in the movies gives it 2 thumbs up. It's brilliant. Enemy at the gates. Rated R. The duel begins March 16th.
If you can't stop here, stop here. For 25% off the regular price of Midas BSD brake pads and shoes. They've got a lifetime guarantee. They're quieter, they stop faster, and last longer. Go Midas.
Got it. Hydraulics? Got it. Flight controls? Got it. Peanut reason? Ain't got that.
How could he? Peanut Reason are new. Really peanutty and lots of milk chocolate. Peanut Reason, you gotta try them.
Got it.
Baseball Tonight from the Boardwalk at Walt Disney World is brought to you by Bank of America. Make banking work as never before? Why not? Bank of America. Grow. And by the United States Marine Corps. The change is forever.
White Sox 6, Padres 1. John Garland allows 2 hits and 4 scoreless innings. The shortstop goes 2 for 3 for Chicago, and Bobby J. Jones ends up getting the loss. Here are the Padres, Dave Campbell and Scottsdale, that won only 76 times last year, and they are predicted by most to win even fewer than that this year. Bruce Bochy knows it, the manager, everyone on the team has heard that talk, so he tries to talk and fire them all up. Realistically, what do they got to do?
Catch the ball, number one. Last year, they led the major leagues in errors with 141. Phil Nevin, their third baseman, great offensive player, but he had a tough year defensively. He spent a lot of time with Tim Wallach, the old Montreal third baseman, in the off-season. They both went to Cal State Fullerton. Wallach worked with him on footwork. They have to improve defensively. They got to identify who their shortstop is because they don't know that right now. And they need to get some sock out of their outfield. I mean, they were fine at the corners with Nevin and Klesko, but their outfield had the fewest home runs and RBIs in the National League. Good-looking young center fielder Mike Dower hit .344 at AAA, but not a lot of sock. They're going to have to catch the ball and find maybe one more bat somewhere. I think their pitching's better than people think it is.
All right, well, David, thank you. They do get Tony Gwynn back. Above the shoulders, he's better than anybody, but below the knees last year, he couldn't walk only 36 games. He talks about his road back.
40, I'll be 41 in May. You're always going to be facing that criticism. He's too old. You're always going to be facing the criticism of, you know, why is he still playing? What else is there for him to prove? And I'm always driven by the same thing. I love what I do. I committed to this year, I'm going to finish this year. And, you know, if I do have problems with my knee and I can't be out there on a regular basis, then, you know, I try to be the best pinch hitter I can be.
Hi, David. So, Tony Gwynn says he loves to play because he loves the game. The question is, I guess, in San Diego, do they love having Tony Gwynn back? He's a 300 hitter, but there's not a lot of power there, and you mentioned the fact that they lack punch.
Well, I mean, they absolutely love to have Tony Gwynn in their lineup. He's still Mr. Padre. He's the franchise. I mean, he's not going to be part of their rebuilding future. That's pretty evident. But, I mean, here's a guy that's going to have a knee replacement surgery the minute his career is over. It's that bad. He has no cartilage left in that knee. They've really taken it easy with him this spring. He doesn't stand in the outfield very much. They're going to get as much mileage out of him as they can. Here's hoping he has a terrific year.
No question. And last time he was healthy, he did hit 17 home runs. All right, Dave, more from you in just a bit. When we get back here, we'll talk injuries. Albert Bell, a hip injury has cost him his career. Nomar Garcia-Parra, a wrist injury, has cost him how much for the Red Sox season? Those stories and more when we come
back. You know, most men get pretty shook up about losing their hair. But today, many of them are learning about Bosley Medical. They use your own living hair to fill in the thin spots. Just look at that. It really works. You can treat it like real hair because it is real hair. Your own naturally growing hair. So you don't have to worry about it.
Bosley Medical is the world's most experienced hair restoration practice. For over 25 years, they have performed more than 130,000 procedures using the innovative micrografting techniques pioneered by founder Dr. L. Lee Bosley.
Each surgeon of Bosley Medical is board certified and individually trained by me.
So if you want to have your own naturally growing hair back, call this number for more information. We'll send you this free video and in-depth guidebook that gives you the real facts about hair restoration. There's no cost and absolutely no obligation. So do it for yourself. Call now and get the real results you've been looking for.
It's your real hair.
You can't do better than real.
Some gonna get you. Some gonna grab you. Keep on. Keep on running from my Why do you keep running
The NCAA Women's Basketball
Basketball Championship. Coverage begins Friday on ESPN and ESPN2.
Welcome back, everyone. Baseball tonight from the ESPN Club on Disney's Boardwalk. Red Sox lose again, this time to the Baltimore Orioles. David Segui homers from each side of the plate. He has hit terrifically for the Baltimore Orioles this spring. Manny Ramirez continues to struggle, 0 for 3 with a walk, and Red Sox get some problems with their pitching. Orlando Arroyo gives him only 2 innings, and he gives up 6 earned runs. The important question that many of the folks in Boston are asking is about Nomar Garciaparra. I spoke with Dan Duquette this afternoon, and he says Nomar's injury is similar to what Oscar De La Hoya once had. At least one of the specialists said that. They rested that injury. He actually came back without any problem. But there's such a level of uncertainty in this, isn't there?
There is an awful lot of uncertainty, and I don't think Nomar's going to fight.
No,
anyway.
let's hope not.
He might play soccer, but he won't play. Really, I mean, to even talk about it right now is irresponsible. I mean, because nobody knows. The cast will come off his wrist on Friday. They'll examine it again, and then they'll know better what they're going to do, whether or not he's going to have surgery. Nomar doesn't think he's going to need surgery. He thinks he's going to be able to play, so we shall see.
Well, besides Nomar, though, the fact is the Red Sox have right now in camp Mike Lansing, Greg Grayback, and Lou Maloney. If they find on Friday, and pardon the irresponsibility, but if they find on Friday he's not ready to go, will they make a move?
They'll make a move. They'll go out and get a shortstop. Dan said today that they might not have to if he doesn't need surgery. They may just stick with what they have, but they don't have anyone who could play for, you know, a month, 2 months, half a season if he does have the surgery. Then they'll look around somewhere else.
Red Sox picked to finish right up there with the Yankees. The Orioles in the same division picked to finish way down at the bottom, and they lost a big part of that offensive club when Albert Bell went out with that hip injury and will not come back, ever.
Well, and also I think now with Albert going out, it really hurts the Orioles, who were already down anyway. But I think you got to start looking at it from a historical perspective. Where does Albert Bell fit? Will he be a Hall of Famer? Those are the questions that are thrown out there. And a couple of players come to mind. He's got statistics. Statistically, Ralph Kiner, his numbers outdo Ralph Kiner. But I'm comparing him with DiMaggio here because Joe DiMaggio did not get in on his first vote, simply because the writers did not like the way Joe handled them. Albert Bell has not handled the writers very well, and so a first-time ballot, I don't think he's going to get in either. If Joe DiMaggio didn't, I find it kind of hard because they are a very tough, vindictive group to crack. So
whoa, you're talking about Mr. Gammons here, you know.
Well, he doesn't vote like that. I'm not right. I'm talking about Mr. Gammons.
If you had a vote, do you put Albert in?
You know, I think I would for this reason. It's going to take a lot of the but. In perhaps the greatest offensive decade, he was a leader in several different categories. I realize that his numbers are skewed by the fact that he played at that time, but he and Griffey were the best offensive players of that decade.
Okay, and he did it for the Indians. And he did it for the Indians in '95. His numbers were outrageous. The Indians take care of 8 runs, but they give up 8-2. The Astros match him. Billy Wagner had to leave this game, which was played, as you see, in Valencia, Venezuela, with a mild groin strain. The good news, it had nothing to do with the arm. Kenny Lofton goes deep for the first time. It was his first home run. He went 1 for 2 in the game. We have more to do here on Baseball Tonight. When we get back, we'll talk strike zone. It continues to climb, and it's gotten under the skin of the players.
I've been lazy lately. I'm working on the strike zone, so I stopped working out because I'm working on the strike zone a lot.
Pudge Rodriguez has known the strike zone as well as anyone. We will discuss what makes the Rangers catcher so effective. Illuminations, nightly, the World Showcase Lagoon at Epcot here at Walt Disney World. Musical score, fireworks, lasers, fountains, and fire every night.
If you can't stop here, stop here for 25% off the regular price of Midas BSD brake pads and shoes. They've got a lifetime guarantee. They're quieter, they stop faster, and last longer. Go Midas.
ESPN Club on Disney's Boardwalk. Just down the road from where the Atlanta Braves continue all their spring training. Some other scores for you. The Twins take care of the Devil Rays. Peter, at the top of the show, you mentioned the Devil Rays. Josh Hamilton, tell us about him.
The man with the size 19 feet. He makes Bob Lanier look small. Now, he's just an awesome talent. He's a 6'6" center fielder. He's got an 8 arm. He's got power, and he looks like he belongs in the big leagues right now.
Will he be in the big leagues soon?
I think he will be. I mean, they still have Greg Vaughn and Ben Grieve, who each had 2 hits today. Sherrill Williams is arguably the best defensive center fielder in the American League, along with Torrey Hunter. But this kid has got greatness all over him.
All right, something to look forward to. Rockies take care of the Brewers. Meantime, the Seattle Mariners played a game, and in their one against the Angels, they go down 5-4. Ichiro Suzuki, that everyone is talking about in Seattle, goes 3 for 4 with 3 singles. Of course, he came over from Japan and won all the batting titles over there. Good outing from Ramon Ortiz, 4 innings, no earned runs. He K'd 4. The Angels are a team that's in need of some help. But Seattle, we see all about the defections. Suzuki certainly brings a lot of life to this club. What would you say the mood is of the Mariners?
Well, I think it's interesting. They realize they're not a great offensive team, and that pitching is going to be what carries that ball club. Suzuki will more than likely be their leadoff guy. The one thing that they have found out is this guy can flat out fly. It's a matter of him making adjustments to the American League or American pitchers with more of an overpowering fastball, not as many off-speed pitches. And he's able to do that. He'll be the catalyst guy to lead off. But their offense is really the thing they're worried about right now because they do have great pitching. And the one thing about the Mariners, they do have a stable of pitchers that if they need to go get the big offense, they can go ahead and make that deal.
We really saw the emergence of the Mariners staff, in particular 3 and 4 starters in the postseason, and we know their bullpen just improved with Jeff Nelson. So they can pitch. We know the A's can pitch and hit. What about Texas with Alex Rodriguez? We know they can hit. We don't know about their pitching, but their catching's never a question.
Well, of course, that's a big part of their pitching, too. But, you know, the joke around the Rangers this spring is, who's the best Rodriguez on the Rangers? It doesn't really matter because they're both going to end up in the Hall of Fame. But if I had to pick one player who dominates dominates the game in terms of whether his team wins or loses, that one player would be Pudge Rodriguez. There are some things that defy reason, like Michael Jordan's hang time, James Earl Jones' voice.
Oh, say, can you see?
At what may be baseball's greatest phenomenon, the feat of the everyday player who may dominate a game more than anyone in baseball today, Pudge Rodriguez.
He throws more with his feet because those things are, you know, just as fast as his hands. He's a shortstop playing catcher.
His feet are the most amazing feet I've ever seen.
To go down there and catch in Texas as many games as he has caught, the grueling heat, and still to have those toes of a ballet dancer, it's remarkable what he does behind the plate.
He seems to always be stacked. Everything's in tune and incredible rhythm. He's probably a great dancer.
Are you a good dancer?
Me? You know what? That's the only thing I don't do, dancing. I just like to, you know, spend time with my wife, go, you know, to a nightclub or whatever and sit down and talk about life.
Rodriguez says he was simply born with Baryshnikov feet, but he understands how they lift him out of his catcher's uncomfortable squat into position to unleash his arm.
If he got a quick feet, everything came out natural. Power is from the legs, pitchers, infielders to go to the side, try to reach for the ball in the hole. You have to be a quick feet.
When he was young, Rodriguez was told he had a bad catcher's body. Now, at a shade under 5'10" and 210 pounds, he has revised his theological theory.
A lot of coaches tell me that you be good to, you're a good player to play second base. I say, why is that? Because, you know, today baseball is for, you know, be a catcher is for big guys, you know, 6'4" guys, 240 pounds.
Pudge has got the perfect build, I think, for a catcher. He's stocky enough to take the pounding that a catcher needs, but his feet are the secret. It seems like that even when he runs, his feet are all the way underneath him.
I would directly go to, you know, his balance and how fluid, you know, his movements are and how low he stays to the ground.
Rodriguez has thrown out more than 50% of opposing runners the last 5 seasons, and his intrepid pickoffs to all bases imprison most others.
It changes your strategy as a base runner. I think that the clubs in their pre-series meetings always include the Pudge factor. I've seen him fake throwing to third or throwing to first, trying to pick somebody off and having runners dive back in, and he doesn't even release the ball.
I don't try to throw the guy out. I just try to keep him close from the back so the guys in the middle can turn the play easier.
He also changes the fielding responsibilities of his infielders and pitchers.
We were going over bunt plays,
And I said, unless it's a one-hopper back at you, Pudge has it. I said, there aren't many that you're going to have to take.
The play that sticks out the most is the bunt or the ball that's hit right in front of home plate. He beats the runner. He beats the hitter out of the box. It's unbelievable. I mean, he has to push the batter out of the way.
While Rodriguez says his feet are a gift, he works feverishly to maintain his greatness in spring training, during the season, and in his 4-month winter program with a former Olympic track and field coach.
I do a lot of exercise for my legs. I do weights. I do a lot of jumping, running. My workout is, you know, what the track and field work do, you know, running 400 meters, 300 meters, 80 meters, quick, you know, try to get some speed on my leg.
All of which adds up to the admiration of catchers who have watched the best for the last 40 years.
He may be the greatest of all time. I mean, the standard bearer forever has been Johnny Bench. And without comparing him, Pudge is every bit of what Johnny Bench was.
What's amazing is Pudge Rodriguez, Jorge Posada, Jason Varitek, they're all the same age, and the guy's already got 9 gold gloves.
And the thing is, too, about those feet, that's not something you can teach. I mean, they just happen to be very quick feet. Now,
no, and I really believe that's the greatest phenomenon in baseball today. The greatest thing to watch in the sport is to watch him move behind the plate with those feet.
You probably never knew so many people were looking at his feet. But while you can't teach that, you can certainly learn from him. When we come back, we'll be joined by a guy who's trying to do just that. The catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies got an all-star resume of his own working. Mike Lieberthal and his manager, Larry Boa, when Baseball Tonight continues.
For 4 young brothers, there's no game they can't play.
We're the cream of the crop. We are the cream of the crop. You're on the bottom of the barrel.